Foreplay presented by Barstool Sports. We got an extremely special show today. We're in Brewster, Washington. Is that correct, gentlemen?
100%.
We got David McLay-Kidd, who is the architect here at Gamble Sands. We've got your boys Nick. We got Tori, who owner of the property.
Project manager.
Project manager.
Yeah.
You manage the project.
They kept telling me he was the owner.
No.
That's all right.
Rep.
Was it
That's
an
fine.
MFI-CC?
So we're here at Gamble Sands. We're in Washington. Gamble Sands was, I want to get into the history of it. I want to get into a lot of it. We also, in a very, I think, unprecedented situation on the Foreplay podcast, we have an announcement that we're going to make that Gamble Sands is, and I know nothing about this other than the bare minimum, the bones, the skeleton. Gamble Sands is building a new golf course, and that, David, you are going to be designing it or have designed. Is that correct?
We already laid it out. You'll have to excuse me because I've lost my voice.
This is my fault. We were at the bar. We were burning both ends of the candle.
Yeah, you did keep us at the bar till 1 a.m.
I always get blamed for this.
My voice is now gone.
People always blame me. They always get mad at me for that. It's
Yeah.
it's a free country. You can do whatever you like.
And
I think you sound nice.
staying in the bar till 1 is what I wanted to do.
Okay, so new course coming here. We have design. We have what do we got? What are we working with?
Well, I think we're looking at 11 green over there.
Yep.
Right there. I don't know if the camera can see it, but
Yep.
you're looking at the par 3 11th hole on the other side there. And it starts up near the existing clubhouse and plays out over completely new terrain, stuff that we would have used the first time, but we had some power lines and things that were in the way that Tori's now figured out how to get rid of. So now we're going to build the second full 18 at Gamble Sands. The place is filled full of golfers and they want more.
Yep.
We have a name yet?
No.
Okay.
One thing he taught me early on is if you don't want to give it a name too early because it usually sticks. So we didn't want to name it something stupid and then have it stick.
Fair.
So
yeah,
we're gonna wait
leaving
until
it open.
Yeah, we're gonna wait until something strikes us. And
So any suggestions are okay.
no.
Who makes that call?
What's that?
Who makes that call? How does that work?
It just kind of comes down to getting the end of it, and then the family. I kind of put it to a family committee, and we kind of figure it out.
So you guys have the 18-hole course here, Gamble Sands. You have Quicksands, which is par 3 course. I haven't seen it yet. How many holes is the Quicksands?
14.
14 holes. You've got this putting course. You got a bunch of putting greens up there. Now you're going to have an additional 18 holes. I assume you're going to be adding some lodging because it sounds like there's going to be a lot of people coming playing a lot of golf around here.
Yeah, the plan is to add 36 more rooms, and hopefully that's a little bit before the opening of the next course. So, because we're getting a lot of people want to come and stay and play. That's kind of our big thing. We're out here in the middle of Eastern Washington. There's not a lot of options for lodging.
In the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I live here,
yeah.
so there it is somewhere.
For you,
yeah.
yeah. But for the average person, just in the middle of nowhere, that's fine. We could say that.
But we want people to come over, stay and play, and do that.
We were talking a lot last night, which unfortunately, took David's voice. But we were talking a lot last night about the fact that if it weren't for golf, and if it weren't for you guys having the vision, the commitment, all of that, thousands of people, myself included, would most likely have never ended up in this part of the country, of the world, would never be looking at this view, which is the what lake? This is Columbia River, but what's the lake?
Columbia River, this is affectionately called Lake Pateras behind.
Lake Pateras.
Yep.
We got snow-capped mountains back there. We're in central Washington. People would never be here. We wouldn't get to know each other. What's the background? Why'd you guys, how did this come about? How'd you bring this hooligan in here? How'd all this come about?
Long story short, the family is very built in athletically. I mean, they would do a lot of stuff with baseball and basketball. And when I got out of college,
is the family athletic too?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. There's several of them. Played baseball and basketball at Gonzaga, and all the grandkids and cousins. They all played basketball. They're all
nice. You said Gonzaga.
Yeah.
We learned that if you say a lot of people say Gonzaga.
I did hear Corey on your podcast correct that, and I was very proud of him
Nobody
for doing
says
that.
The Zogs. They say
yeah,
the Zogs.
I'm a Gonzaga grad. A little baseball there, so I
makes sense.
You want to keep that going. So
that's what I would guess. Yeah.
But no, we wanted to do something, outside and with sports, and the family owns a lot of property. So one big thing was creating a draw that would help the economic viability of Brewster going forward, and the housing and small businesses. So we started looking at golf, and
What year was this?
I got out of college in 97, and I started dinking around with golf in 1999. We had a course above Brewster that we actually routed and shaped with the Dye family,
Okay.
and got that going, but we shifted gears in, what was that, 2008? Yeah, when economic changed, we went less from a real estate
And the
play.
economy, things changed that year.
Yeah,
Sure, big
so we
time.
went less from real estate play to pure golf. And this site was always on the plans, but it was coming later. So David had already been here, so we shifted gears and said, hey, if something's going to work, this is the place to make it work. So
Nick, you're partners with David here.
Yep.
Your first involvement with this property, understanding it, hearing about it, when was that? How did that happen? What do you remember hearing?
So that we met Tori at the Chevron station down in town.
Okay.
I think 2008. Came up, walked around it. I grew up in Seattle, so I've known kind of this region before. And there's some places that we would come play golf over here, but they weren't just the vibe and the place that this has become. Steal one of David's line. I mean, sand is kind of the magic elixir to golf, right? So, this place is packed with it. I never came over here to play golf. And even as an avid golfer, we came and played in the river. And now with, my own family, we come spend a week, 10 days, 2 weeks up here for the last few years. And we bring our boat and we play in the river and we come play golf. We had, a bunch of guys here last year from, my family and other things. We're playing quicksands in board shorts and flip-flops. It's great fun.
All right, we're going to get you guys back to the podcast here in a second, but first I got to tell you guys about SiriusXM. You can listen to SiriusXM app at home or anywhere you are, no car required. I just got a car. It has SiriusXM. I listen to it all the time. There used to be a time where SiriusXM was only in your car. Not anymore. You can listen to it wherever you want. Stream it on your phone, online, or at home. Over 425 channels are on the SiriusXM app. Enjoy ad-free music channels for every genre and artist, dedicated channels. Catch live play-by-play of games from every major sports league and 24-hour sports talk from the biggest names in sports. You can stay informed with world-class news from every angle and hear from the brightest stars in entertainment with original talk and exclusive comedy on the SiriusXM app. Again, you've probably heard of SiriusXM. You've probably heard all about it. You know all about it. But now you don't need a car for it. You can listen to it anywhere. It's got PGA Tour radio. That's the thing that I listen to the most in the car. I've also been listening to the Beatles channel. I've been getting into the Beatles big time. Fantastic band. Pretty small band if you haven't heard about them. All you got to do is subscribe now. You get your first 3 months for free of the SiriusXM app. Go to SiriusXM.com/4playpod offer to sign up. Offer details apply. Again, go to SiriusXM.com/4playpod offer. Sign up. Offer details apply.
Explain. So you mentioned sand earlier and how important sand is. I think to the average golfer, they don't really understand that. They don't understand the difference between what's underneath them when they're walking around playing. They just want to see fast greens. Explain why and how important sand and sand-based terrain is for building great golf courses.
You only have to look at the top 100. The top 100 in the world, 3/4 of them are on sand. So it allows grass to grow really well, firm surfaces, smooth. You're going to have to take it from here.
Less expensive to build on, right? You're not having to move tons of earth. The way that it forms geologically, tends to be
What's the bad stuff to deal with? Clay?
clay, rock. I mean, rock's hard. You can't grow grass in rock, right? You can grow grass in clay, but you're spending a bunch of money in drainage. You're pitching the surfaces in certain ways, to get surface drainage, and you're adding a bunch of, subterranean
Instead of
pipe.
just being able to build purely what you want to build.
Yeah.
That's right.
And there's no drain pipes in any of these golf courses here.
That's incredible.
No cart paths.
No cart paths.
Right.
Because you haven't spent money on drainage and cart paths and moving dirt and moving rock and all of that, you can make the golf course bigger. You can make it more playable and more friendly, but you can also spend, some of that money on being creative and, creating some of the different shots and strategies that, use that space in a really meaningful way, rather than just having to hit it down a 40-yard wide corridor with U.S. Open fairways 28 yards wide that your average golfer can't play.
Right.
It makes it simpler. And it's, think about, like, you're not building greens, right? So typical golf courses that aren't built on sand, you're shaping greens, you're putting in a drainage layer, you put in 4 to 6 inches of gravel, depending on what kind of aggregates and sands you have. Then you're putting in 12 to 16 inches of sand, depending on the sand. And all of those, it becomes like building a building, right? So your ability to be finitely creative in the finish and tie things together, and this little bump or that little ripple, it becomes really difficult to do. Where here, we're designing right up until we plant grass, and you can't do that if you're not in sand.
It's extremely interesting because, again, I think most people wouldn't understand it when you guys get, or they just don't think about it. It's not on their radar, right? Like, whatever, I'm just playing golf. It's green grass, very cool, whatever. When you guys get brought in, you're getting courted, whatever, to do a new project, a new course, how does that work? What percentage of projects do you get brought in to see that you don't do?
That's hard to say. And I think I come at it on each new project about whether we're a good fit or not.
Yeah.
And, very difficult site, a client who has very specific ideas of what they want. Those are probably not best suited for us. So you're just trying to find a site that fits. This is a beautiful landscape, it's all sand. Working with Tori and the family, they're great. So, we think we're a good fit there. So we're just looking for that every time, if you can get it. Like Kaiser at Bandon, same thing. Great client, great piece of land. Makes it easy. Why would we make it hard?
You guys have done some hard projects that are more difficult than others.
Yeah.
What's the most difficult project that you've had to work on?
That's all you, baby.
Probably 2. My first one and the last one. The first one being Huntsman Springs, now called Tributary. It's over near Jackson Hole. Big fat flat site in a really cool landscape. It's right at the base of Grand Teton National Park. And we moved a lot of dirt there to create this faux landscape that really served a giant engineering purpose to, believe it or not, managing irrigation water. And that was the whole premise of the golf course. And then the real estate play on back that. And it's, doing great now. It's wild fun. And then Rolling Hills in LA, we took an old sand and gravel pit and an existing private club. And the sand and gravel pit was 300 feet deep. And we built a golf course. We moved 6.5 million yards on just 300 acres. That was a reclamation project basically for this sand and gravel pit that had no other use. And we had clay layers that we were putting down to cap the old parts of the pit that were geologically unstable, and all sorts of technical engineering requirements. Giant drain pipes. 12-foot diameter drain pipes you'd drive a golf cart through. And then build a golf course on top of it. And if I took you there, you wouldn't really know any of that stuff was there.
Right.
And in that, you think about the whole sand question and that, what's most difficult? It was an old sand and gravel pit. So we were able to mine sand out of the sand and gravel pit and cap the entire surface that we shaped in not great soils with 1.5 feet of sand. So it plays rock hard like a sand golf course, just like this.
1.5 feet is enough?
Mm-hmm.
What is...
Huntsman Springs, Tributary, same thing. It's capped. There's no topsoil. The subgrade there is like cobblestone, say softball size and smaller, and gravel. So it drains really well. So it drains so well that in the spring melt, the groundwater actually comes up and then it recedes. It moves tens of feet throughout the year. And then it's covered in 1.5 feet of sand, and it's rock hard and firm.
Wow.
And in January, it'll be 30 below zero. And probably today, it's probably much like here, 80 degrees and sunny.
Right. One thing that I was amazed by, and we were talking about yesterday. And again, I'm from Missouri. I don't know this part of the country particularly well, but understanding that there's in Bandon, for example, where they get a ton of rain, 100 inches or so, whatever it is a year, and here they only get 10, maybe, and how massive of a difference that is for a golf course, because this does play, and I've played it twice in the last 24 hours now. This course, Gamble Sands, plays as firm and fast as any golf course I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, the links courses of the British Isles usually only play to their true capabilities in the middle of the summer.
Yeah.
When it's not raining and they're baked out and they're hard. Just like we're going to see at St Andrews in a couple weeks' time. Gamble Sands plays like that pretty much all year. It's rock hard all year. So those shots that you're going to see at the British Open, you can come here in April and you probably play the same shots. You could chip a ball 70 yards and it'll run another 100 yards. You saw yesterday when we were putting, lots of the fairways here putt as good as a lot of golf courses' greens.
Shady Rays, the official sunglasses of Fore. I'm actually wearing Shady Rays right now. I got like 6 pair in my bag because I'm on a long trip, a little golf trip. I got many, many pair of Shady Rays. You got to have them out there, okay? Are you tougher than the sun? You heard the whole deal, the tweet. You understand that. Shady Rays offers a world-class product that's just as good as any expensive pair we have ever worn. Durable frames, extremely clear, polarized lenses. You got to have polarized for on the green and beyond. Reading putts, draining putts, you got to have the polarization situation. That's not all. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by lost and found broken replacements. So if you lose them, you break them, they will replace them. It's that simple. Shady Rays does it better than anybody in the business. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they told us personally they will send you a brand new pair of Shady Rays. No questions asked. Swing into action and wear your Shady Rays with confidence. Nice little pun there because it's a golf podcast. Swing into action. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com/foreplay for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses today. And in case you missed out, our exclusive collaboration with Shady Rays, the Barstool Golf Limited Edition, is available while supplies last at shadyrays.com/barstoolgolf. Note, discounts do not apply. shadyrays.com/barstoolgolf. The fairways here are better than most greens that I've played at public courses in St. Louis, where I'm from. Like, legitimately, they're pure, they're fast. You're crazy if you don't putt off them. We were talking, I think it's the 6th hole, the par 3. That is 235 or so from the tees that we were playing, downhill, and it was downwind yesterday. And we hit, I went up there with a 5-iron thinking like, all right, I'll fly something, maybe whatever, 200 and then eventually went all the way back down to a 7-iron, and we were hitting it 30 yards right of the green and 20, 30 yards short of the green and letting it bounce and trundle. And I think that most people in America who grew up playing, especially like typical public golf in the United States, don't get to play that kind of golf ever.
It's target golf.
Right.
It's the tragedy of American golf that the game from Scotland, which is not target golf, came to America and became target golf.
How did that happen?
I'm not exactly sure. I think the advent of irrigation, making surfaces soft, improvements in equipment, so the trajectory of the ball gets much higher, it lands sharper, softer. So
First golf courses in America weren't built on sand.
Which were what? Which courses? Probably...
You'd have to get all the way out to like National and Shinnecock till those, first sets of golf courses
were
built on sand.
Because very few are built on sand, really. Total.
I mean, I don't know off the top of my head, which is probably terrible professionally, which golf course is the oldest in America, but I know that it was more.
No, it was a course in New York that was through an orchard. I think that was the very first.
But it was on heavier soils.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that's probably part of it. But you're talking about the 6th hole. Let's say that was 240 yards downhill, same relative situation on any other golf. Let's say it's the Country Club at Brookline or Oakmont. Yeah. How would you have played that golf hole yesterday in that 30-mile-an-hour wind?
Dead aim.
I mean, it would have been brutal.
It would have been impossible. Yeah, because you would have to. So for anybody obviously listening, it's an audio podcast. I mean, it's a 230-ish yard par 3. It's downhill. It's over a ravine and then a bunker, and there's a whole bunker left, and then the entire right side of the green is a large hill that kind of runs down towards the green. And essentially what we were doing was like, you can throw it as far out onto that hill pretty much as you want, and it will trundle all the way down onto the green into the middle of the green. And it was downwind, and I watched the first guy go hit like a 7-iron. It hits the ball farther than I did. Hit a 7-iron. It landed probably on the front side of the green, front-ish area of the green, and bounced 15 yards over the green. And the next guy hits a 5-iron and hit one that landed in the same spot and ran over the green. So I clubbed down 2, hit it way right, and it trundles about pin high, and it was super fun to watch, and everybody's like laughing and the whole deal. If you have to play that in a normal American parkland style course, you have to fly that all over the green. It stops pretty softly. And if you don't have that precise shot, you really don't have a chance. Whereas this one, again, we can hit all kinds of different clubs, throw it out to the right, and we did it today. And everybody can get to the green in sort of a different way, and it's fun to watch it roll. It's not fun to just watch a ball plop and stop.
And when we did it today, even though you were playing out away from the green, we were picking a pretty precise target.
Right.
If you got it just in the wrong part of the slope, it'd actually go to the back of the green, not the front of the green. And so, it's fun. You still have to pick a line. You just have some different options. And you can't do that. You can't do that on heavy soils or rock.
And the cool part about building with these guys is they think about the average golfer and how they're going to have fun doing that shot. Because if that shot was just an island green out there at 230, most guys would be in the sand and chipping out or pulling it out of the canyon. But, I remember when we started shaping that hole, we got a basketball out and learned how the ball's going to roll down the hill, and you'd kick it and watch how the ball fed down there. And these guys are giggling the whole time thinking how much fun people are going to have doing it. And I think that's just a testament to how much they love the game and want to have people love the game too. So they do it on site. They don't do it on paper. They go and look at the dirt and make it work.
Yeah.
So
one of our big tricks is a basketball.
Yeah, okay. That's your go-to is a basketball?
Roll
What, it rolls?
basketball.
So a basketball on
bare
unfinished rolls pretty similar to a golf ball?
Very similar.
We tried soccer balls. We tried like a big red kickball from like elementary school. They're not a volleyball. None of them are heavy enough. A basketball just seemed to have enough weight and momentum in it to.
Yeah.
So that's what you use.
We go grab one. We start every project.
We're now convinced if you can get a basketball to do it, a golf ball will do it.
Amazing. That's incredible. I never knew that.
And we're out there with a bulldozer. Like, it didn't release far enough. Bring the bulldozer back in, make it steeper, make it longer, whatever. And then roll the basketball. Like, okay, perfect.
It's always interesting to me because there's a lot of spots as an average golfer where you're always debating, can I throw this up into that backstop? Will it roll all the way back to the hole? You guys legitimately just test that with a basketball.
We do. Yeah.
It's good to know. Scientific. Mm-hmm. Very scientific. So this course, one of the most fun courses I've ever played, start to finish. There's seems to be in there, I think we're getting away from it a little bit. There seems to be this concern with difficulty being somehow associated with the quality of a golf course. I don't give a shit. I couldn't give a fuck less if courses are hard. I don't want courses to be hard. I want to go out and play well and have a good time. Where do you think that we're getting away from people necessarily needing to consider a golf course difficult in order for it to be great?
Go for it, Nick.
I think we're trying. We're trying that. I think our clients certainly see that that's true. When I get around, better players and we have that conversation, similar to the conversation we were having about Cypress versus Pebble and all of that. I think when you look at the British Open in particular, on years where it's firm and fast and dry and a little bit windy, the scores are closer to par. But if it's rainy and even maybe windy, but if it gets soft, the winning score goes way down. And so I think that, yesterday we played the same golf course we played today. How many shots better were you today?
Yeah, I would say today was a good 4 to 6 shots.
The only difference was the wind. And the wind yesterday wasn't ridiculous. I mean, the balls weren't moving on the greens.
It was playable. It was just windy.
Right? I mean, and so I think the the measure of difficulty and playability can be manipulated based purely on weather.
And I don't think, I wish I could articulate it better with my,
I think you sound great.
that there's a misconception that playability and challenge are like the scales of justice. And somehow, as one goes up, the other goes down. I don't think that's true at all.
Right.
If I take you to the back tees here, and I get Josh, the superintendent, to put the pins on the edges, and you're trying to make birdie, every single hole out here is hard. If you play off the right set of tees with reasonably tame pin placements, you probably think you could birdie every hole,
Right.
but you still won't.
Right. No, you never. I mean,
Never. Golf is hard.
right. It's just really hard.
Yeah.
Even if a course is considered an easier golf course, the game that we're playing is still
Golf is hard when I'm on the range.
just extremely difficult.
Oh, what's the most two fun things in golf? I'll say if you're hitting from a tee or a perfect spot in the fairway, it's hitting a great shot, right?
Yep.
The next most fun thing is hitting a great shot from the absolute ball washer.
Yep. True.
And you can't do that if that balance isn't right. I mean, the average golfer plays a U.S. Open course or even a course that's halfway there. They miss a fairway, they're just hacking out. They got no chance of having that thrill of just, getting up and down from the garbage can. Or maybe it's not even up and down. Maybe it's saving a par from a terrible tee shot. And, think
It's
space and
it's recovery.
recovery
That's
is
what we've lost in golf, is the ability to recover exists in the British Isles. You can play a pretty bad shot, probably find it, and you've got some hope that you could recover.
Right.
And a lot of where golf has gone as courses got more and more difficult is the average golfer had absolutely no chance of recovery. Might not even find the ball. And that's no fun.
Sucks.
Sucks.
Oh, it's my least favorite kind of golf in the world. That's why I
Yeah.
don't like Florida. Hate Florida.
Well, you said it best today is when you got off the tee the last green last night, you wanted to go back to the first tee.
Couldn't wait.
And I think that's the goal, was to not want to go, hey, I paid my $200 and I got my ass kicked and that horse is really hard. Let's go to the bar. I'd rather go, hey man, that was a lot of fun. Let's go back to the first tee. And if you're an operator and you're wanting people to come back and have fun and continue to pay the fee, that's what you want to have.
I think Whistling Straight's a great example. Whistling Straits, I played it twice now, and I would say visually it might be the most spectacular course I've ever seen. It's just phenomenal. I thought the Ryder Cup was incredible. By the time I get to the 12th or 13th hole, if you told me, you excited to go back to the first tee after this, I would tell you to go fuck yourself. I hate it. I just want to get off the golf course. I'm not having fun. I wish we just walked. I wish we just put our clubs down and grabbed a coffee and just looked at it. I just am not having a good time playing it. It's not that enjoyable. Whereas, not to pump your tires too much, TMK, but here, Bandon, Mammoth, the first inclination is I just want to try that again. I want to get to that first tee and I want to put it down. And I know now a little bit, I understand the breaks, the undulations, and I understand that shot was blind. I thought that pin was front right, but it's actually back left. And you want to get another shot at it. And I imagine, and I know after playing it today, I was looking at the schedule being like, all right, we're going to do this podcast, we're going to do this fun event. How can I somehow squeeze 9 more holes in on that golf course? And not to shit on Whistling, because I've gone there, I've had a great time, it's fun, but it's people legit, every person in my group, every time we play there has been I can't wait to get off this golf course because it just kicks you in the teeth. And it's this is such a different experience. And I think that that's cool and beneficial to the game of golf overall, that people are starting to return to. It should be fun. It should feel like you accomplished it, like you had a chance. And a lot of times it doesn't.
Do you think it's fair to say that golfers, every time they step on a tee, they're in one of two mindsets? You're either aggressive or defensive. Most golf courses, most tees, you step on the tee and you're defensive. Mm-hmm. How do I not screw this up? How do I put myself in a position where I get to keep playing? And then there are a few holes on every golf course that you stand up and go, oh yeah, I got this.
Here we go.
I'm going to be aggressive. We want to build 18 holes that you at least think you can be aggressive. Because it's way more fun to be a confident, aggressive golfer than always being defensive, tentative, nervous. It's just not fun.
Right. And that's not fun.
And I don't think that the playability and challenge are joined to get at the hip. They're not. We can build a golf course that's plenty challenging, but it's still super playable.
Right. Right. Which
And I
is
think
hard. That's the artistry of it.
A lot
It
of the people
requires width.
that might
Anything.
argue or debate the, playability versus challenge and fun and all of that tend to be better golfers. And I think as they get older in life, golf becomes less. This happened to me. I mean, golf, everything used to be about score. And, probably when I got 35, so 7, 8 years ago, golf really became about being social.
Yep.
And you start to play with wider ability levels. And when you can go to a golf course where everybody can play to some level and you can socially have fun and it's a giggle and it's just more fun. And those are the places that you go to. And, Bandon, Mammoth, here, when you get giant groups, the number of ladies that come play from the Seattle area. I mean, David and I have worked on a few things in Seattle at some of the private clubs. They're all wearing Gamble Sands gear. And they come over here by the droves. And they tell us about it. We love the place. We come over here. We have so much fun. How many places do you hear women golfers in particular raving about how much fun they had?
Right.
And it's because they're low trajectory shots roll out.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, we're going to get back to the podcast here in a second, but I am here to talk to you guys about Shopify. Shopify is the all-in-one commerce platform to start, run, and grow your business. Shopify gives entrepreneurs the resources once reserved for big businesses, so startups, easily established businesses alike can sell everywhere, synchronize online and in-person sales, and effortlessly stay informed. When I first tried to get the job at Barstool, I used a service just like Shopify. I sold a bunch of shirts. If you sell shirts or anything like that, Shopify is the way to go. You can manage it yourself. You can run it yourself. You connect with your customers. You drive sales, manage your day-to-day. Shopify instantly lets you accept all major payment methods. Shopify has thousands of integrations and third-party apps from on-demand printing to accounting to advanced chatbots to and beyond. All you got to do is go to shopify.com/Fore. That's Fore, all lowercase, for a free 14-day trial and get full access to Shopify's entire suite of features. Grow your business with Shopify today. Again, go to shopify.com/Fore right now. That's shopify.com/Fore.
It's funny. Like when I think about the difference when I step onto a tee, like the second hole here, or I think it might be the 7th, that are both pretty short par 4s where you can kind of rip it up near the green.
8.
And I think about the difference in that feeling and that mindset when I step onto those tees and I realize we're on that kind of hole and I look at it, what's going on, and how excited I get of like, oh boys, here we go. We got a shot here. This is exciting. Like we can make something happen here. And the difference between that when I step on a tee of just a
Staring down
brutal
this.
like 460-yard, dead straight, trees all down both sides, par 4, where I'm like, fuck. Like this is, and when you do that times 18 for 4.5 hours, that's going to affect your experience and your mindset and your general happiness around the game of golf. And it's going to affect millions of people that have that same feeling. So I think it's so good overall that we're getting more and that people are hiring more and bringing in more, folks with design philosophy like you guys of like, yes, there's plenty of challenge. You can set up the pins in the course where there's plenty of challenge. We'll see that tomorrow at the Barstool Classic, I'm sure. But generally, like, it should be enticing and fun and give you some confidence, because otherwise you're just going to lose interest in the game.
I think if a lot of people really just checked their ego and got real about their golf game, if you had a 400-yard golf hole that was dead straight, nothing in the way, it's 100 yards wide, how many times do they make birdie, par, or bogey? It's probably they score way higher than they think they would.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, we don't have to do a lot for you to screw up your own card.
Right.
But we want to make it interesting and engaging. And part of that is, the landscape and the fun that we bring to it and the sites and our clients. Having people, like you guys and other groups out come enjoy it.
I think we want to, we do this for fun, right? For entertainment. So when you step on the tee out there, we want to grab you and then keep your interest for 4 hours and not lose it. Like, we want you to feel like, okay, I got to read the contours. I got to look at where the bunkers are. I got to think about where the pin is. What kind of shot could I hit? Am I going to rip a driver? Am I going to lay up with an iron? What kind of shot am I going to play in? You're constantly in this attack mode. And when you're playing in that mode, you're having way more fun than, oh shit, I'm about to lose another ball.
It's so much more fun. And Nick and I were talking about that today because we're having a little match, and I like to hit like irons in certain spots and like try to play to my strengths. And there's not a lot of courses, as crazy as that sounds, around in the States in general, where you really can do that. I mean, there's a lot of them where, you roll up in your cart, you grab, you put your head cover for your driver in the back basket, and you grab it on every single tee, knowing no matter what, I gotta just hit driver here. That's just kind of it. There's really no other option. And why would there be another option? It doesn't make any sense. Whereas here again, with the terrain and there's little speed slots, and it's like, no, if you hit some little low chaser out here, it'll be way up there, near a lot of different guys' drives. There's different ways to get to certain positions. I think that it's really important for keeping people in the game of golf to expose them to that type of experience, because again, they don't get that very often. And when you're trying to find a way to win a match against a couple buddies, a couple gals, like really thinking your way through how you're going to make a certain number on a hole, and then standing on another tee, looking at a hole and being like, holy shit, look at this hole. What am I going to do here for 4 or 5 hours? That's why people try to play, poker or chess or whatever, because they want to get into these mental exercises, and pairing that with the physical of trying to hit golf shots is maximizing your golf experience. And I think that your courses do that extremely well, and not a lot do.
Well, we didn't always do that. I think we learned over 20 years. We built our fair share of hard courses. It's been well documented. And, I think I identified that, saw it, and realized that people were playing Bandon Dunes and loving it. And then I would go to courses that I built around the late 2000s, and they would go play them, and they were getting all sorts of awards and stuff. But the players didn't rave about it. They weren't desperate to go play again. They were getting their asses handed to them. And Nick and I said, hey, we need to rethink this. How come I was so successful building Bandon, and then as I actually got more skillful, the golf courses got less fun to play? So how do we bring that back? So that's what we've spent the last dozen years doing.
And we still do it. We come play here. We go to Bandon and play all the courses at Bandon. We go to Mammoth. We go to Stream Song. We go to some other places that are, are living that culture and doing well. And we look at it and we're like, it works. How can we do it better? How can we do it differently, but under the same ethos? It's constantly evolving. And I think that's part of the art of it too, right? Is we're not just going to replicate the same thing.
Right.
But it's the theory behind it, and to apply it. When you think about a golf course versus other sports, most other sports are played on a defined playing field. Maybe baseball is probably the loosest, right? The walls and the fences and the distances.
It's pretty similar.
But to the back of the infield, it's the same everywhere.
Yep.
Maybe there's more foul territory, right? A golf course is never the same. And I don't even know if we built the same golf course on the same site twice. We would never build it the same twice.
Interesting.
That's an interesting question too, because one of the questions I always get lately is, why would you hire David to do another course here? I said, number one, I trust his team that they're going to build something that's just as successful as the other one, and not have to go through the whole tuition period with another designer and get maybe something that's better or worse or whatever else. But I think that, like what Nick just said, they can go out on a different piece of land 200 yards away and build something I think that's going to be as exciting or more.
Yeah, and Nick, is a really interesting point of, if you guys were given this exact same parcel of land next year that Gamble Sands is on, or the new one's going to be on, and you went and you started from scratch, it would look different than it does, because you've learned, right? You've evolved.
This course was built in 2009. It wouldn't look like it was built right
It's
now.
amazing. That's
'Cause,
interesting.
like he said, he learned something in those few years.
Yeah.
I mean, even today we were walking around and there's some different mowing patterns that have changed, right? Some of the bunkers, there've been, howling winds blown against them all winter, and they change, and the edges change, and we're constantly looking at things you would do different. And it's not because you would do them different because something's broken. It would just be, you see something different. It might be like beer or wine. Like one night you drink this and you're like, that's awesome, but you just drink that only. No, you're like, gin and tonic tonight.
Right.
Margarita tomorrow. Right? And you just kind of in a different headspace, but the foundation of what you're trying to do doesn't change. Just the recipe maybe a little bit.
Right.
All right, we are going to get you guys back to Riggs and David McLay-Kidd in just a second. I am here to talk to you guys about iTrust. By now, you probably heard all about cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. You might even be investing in a few of them. But did you know that you could invest in cryptocurrencies through your retirement account? That's where iTrust Capital comes in. With iTrust Capital, you can buy and sell cryptocurrencies from a crypto IRA and get all the same tax advantages as a traditional IRA. All of this stuff, it's a little bit over my head, but I know that it is the future. Everybody who's smart that I know is investing in cryptocurrencies and IRAs. It's just the future. That is where everything is headed. And with iTrust Capital, it allows you to invest in over 24 of the most popular cryptocurrencies. And unlike the stock market, you can buy and sell 24 hours a day. The iTrust Capital platform is easy to use and it only takes a few minutes to create your account. Setting up an IRA is free and the iTrust fees are low. All you got to do is visit itrustcapital.com to start investing today. That's itrustcapital.com. Taxes and conditions may apply. Fees apply. Cryptocurrencies are a speculative investment with a risk of loss. iTrust Capital Incorporated does not provide legal, investment, or tax advice. Consult with a professional legal investment or tax professional.
So the new course over here, how similar, different? How is it going to be different? What characteristics from this do you want to take over to there? How is that challenge of a course that's right next door to the other one, same architect, same team? How is that challenge of making sure that you make it,
I think it has to be similar in terms of the playability. People are coming here to play a hard, fast golf course that gives options, that allows recovery. So we still have to integrate all of those basic fundamentals. How we actually mix those ingredients is going to be different. It's a different piece of land, and it's almost 10 years later.
It's smaller. I think the overall envelope of the wind is a little bit smaller.
Okay.
The vegetation is different. The terrain is different in terms of it's a little bit tighter, steeper contours. So, some of the speed slots and things like that, are going to be different. It might be, we need more width in places because the ball might move on the ground more. We can use that to make, set up greens and tees so that it takes advantage of that. It rewards that. It, is a fundamental part of the strategy and enjoyment of it. I think that'll be huge. I think it's part of it sits a little bit on a crowned hilltop. So in some places it might be a little bit more exposed to the elements. And the beginning of the golf course actually sits down in a hollow. So it might be, less exposed, and all of those things just play into it. And it's, designing and building these isn't a set playbook. I mean, I think some of our peers, similar, when we're drawing a set of plans, we're doing it to get things about the right size, make sure we have the right pieces of equipment, the right amount of materials, and the general ingredients to bake the cake, so to speak, right? But whether it's a 2-layer cake or a 3-layer cake, or it's chocolate or vanilla, or the frosting is this color or that, it's more like sculpture. If you think a sculptor starts with a sketch, and the face might look totally different, by the time they're done, because the tools move in a certain way and things happen and evolve, and it's very fluid like that.
You guys ever build something and then you see it and you're like, that sucks. We're not doing it.
Oh God, yeah. All the time.
So a lot of the times, right now, I probably
He's here, he
spend,
knows.
I spend more time on site
paid
maybe
for
than David on a duration. And I'll build something at times that we've talked about, right? We've walked through it and we've talked about, hey, we're going to try this and do this. And we'll go at it for a week, build a couple golf holes, shape them. And me and the crew that's on the ground and Tori, we're like, he's going to love this. It's going to be awesome. We ticked every box. Mm-hmm. It always happens the same way. When it happens, David will come in, we'll walk through it. We're all jazzed, right? And we can't decide whether to be excited or kind of quiet, play it, slow roll our hand a little bit, all that. And if he's pretty quiet, I can almost guarantee you that the bulldozer, the biggest one we got, is coming that afternoon. And I mean, we've built holes where it's not so much that we hate it, but sometimes when you build something that you've talked about,
I just had a better idea.
You're like, we didn't see that before. We did this and now we see that, and that would be way cooler. And I mean, we've built golf holes where we just wipe them right off the face of the map.
And I think I've learned,
Amazing.
that
Sounds cheap.
I'm 55 this year, so I've been doing this for a while. I trust my instincts. So if I do go on site and the guy's been working at something and my instincts tell me it's just wrong, this isn't it, then I think I will listen to him. And the guys that have been with me, Nick, for 16 years, he knows that my instincts are usually pretty good.
Yeah.
And so usually there isn't much of a fight. They're like, okay, what comes next? And as long as what comes next is better, then I guess everyone keeps trusting my instincts. If what comes better isn't, then I'm screwed.
And sometimes even our instincts, we might be excited about it because we poured a bunch of time and effort into it, right?
I want you to tell the opposite side of this as well.
Yeah. I mean, there are other times where, we do something, it's like, we never thought of that. That's awesome. It happens both ways. It's super, again, it's fluid, it's collaborative, it's a big think tank. There are no rules. There are no, we always know that, when David's on site, whether it's for a couple of days or 2 weeks or a month or whatever it is, how it works out, ultimately he has the veto card. And what that allows, I think, the rest of our team to do, and ownership like Tori, that's part of the discussion and the collaboration every day that's fun, is we get to push the envelope. Because we always know that if we push, David has the ability to kind of rein us back in. And you never build something as cool as it can be by tiptoeing. Think of it as a 30-foot putt.
I don't
if
want
you just
to be...
lag it up there,
yeah.
Is that exciting? But if you just creep it right up to the front edge and maybe it goes in, you're like, go, 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 go. And it's super exciting, right? You can't get to the 10 on the Richter scale of fun
unless you get to 11
around.
And then pull it back.
Yeah, right. Unless you're willing to go to 11 or 12 or 13.
It's always easier to melt it down than it is to juice it up.
Yeah, chill out. Yeah, chill it. I think that's a lot of the editing that I do is, restraining. Because the team are really creative and they're go, go, go. And I'm like, do we really need 3 bunkers? Maybe one's enough. Does the green really have to have that lump in it? Maybe it doesn't. So I think a lot of the time it's restraint rather than sort of pushing it in the other direction, saying it's not enough. Sometimes it is, but often we're reining it in.
I find the routing extremely interesting because, well, for a lot of reasons, but I'm looking out here at the what's going to be the new course, and I know nothing about it. I know that that flag is going to be the 11th green out there. But I'm looking, I have no fucking idea how you're going to get there. I don't know where you're going to come from. I don't know where the rest of the holes are. I don't know. When you, either of you, when you walk onto a site, do you start to visualize a routing right away? Do you need to go back and look at it for a few days, a few months? Do you, is it God-given? Where does that come from?
I think sometimes it's a lot simpler than maybe some people think it is.
Okay.
And other times it's a lot more complicated.
That's true.
Things like, let's say just for instance, you get a giant site, 2,500 acres out in the middle of nowhere.
What's like an average size site?
200 acres.
It takes 200 acres to build a golf course.
Okay. All right.
I mean, reasonably. Even on a 200 acre site, you start to think about where can I get access to the piece of ground and where can I get to?
Yep.
Right. You're almost certainly going to have a clubhouse or some sort of place that you start at. I mean, you don't know where it is, but you're going to get power to it, water to it. All of those sorts of things are part of that equation that I don't think the people that are into the subtlety and nuance talk about.
Right.
We certainly don't, I think, on any project go unless there's a really good set of reasons, like we're going to start here and finish here. I mean, Mammoth Dunes, for example, David and I made 4 trips for about 10 days each. And I wish I had a pace counter because we walked forever. And we would go walk for 3-4 hours. And while we're walking, like scribble kind of golf holes we're going. And then we go back to the hotel room and we'd have all, the topo maps laid out. And we'd draw 3 or 4 holes that we think maybe work that we've just walked, or sections of pieces of land
The
and all
topography
that.
maps, I assume.
And then go back out and walk it. It doesn't work. And it's, that was a very different experience. When we were looking at 3,000 acres, 4,000 acres.
Yeah, it's huge.
I mean, the golf course could have been over here, could have been over here. I mean, wait, no
Do you
idea.
almost prefer them to just tell you where it needs to be?
Sure makes it a lot faster.
3,000 or 4,000 acres.
Yeah. And you only need 200.
Right.
Yeah.
This property, for example, we knew because of the irrigation water delivery they had that we were going to get water from a certain spot. We knew that we could get a road into the property from a certain spot. And so that kind of probably divided the land that we had to choose from into 2 sides. And for reasons with existing utilities we couldn't move and crop circles and things that wouldn't be easily movable or relocated quickly, the first golf course at Gamble Sands ended up over there. But the clubhouse almost certainly could have been down at the other end where 9 and 10 are. There were just a lot of things that came together.
Or right here.
Or right here.
Right. Yeah, that's fascinating to me. So with Gamble Sands, with this course, is there a place that you started? Like, is there a certain green site or something where you survey the property and you go, this is going to be this is the par 4. I see it. We're going to start here. We're going to build around here, or where?
Well, we had to work out from the irrigation lake.
Yeah, in terms of construction, I think a lot of times when you identify a spot that you have to get to, we think about the routing as almost like an adventure, right? Like if you were going to come to a bare piece of land and you were just going to wander through the whole thing, just by wayfinding, taking a hike, right? No necessarily prescribed, developed trails. How would you might start at a spot and be like, oh, that looks cool. I want to go see that. And then you get to the next, I want to go see that. And we think about like finding that path, but it's not yet split up into 4s and 5s and 3s, or there's a green here. It's just, how are we going to get around the
Just a
property in an
circulation.
interesting way?
And we lay holes on top of it.
Mammoth Dunes, for example, the original clubhouse site that we had at Mammoth Dunes
Yep.
is 180 degrees opposite of where it is. The third green site
Yeah.
was where the clubhouse was on our original plan that Mike awarded us the job off of.
And then you just changed it.
He changed it.
Said I would prefer there was at the other end.
He changed it. And we said, well, okay, we'll relay out the golf course. And he said, no, I like the golf course. Just move the clubhouse a mile.
A mile.
Yeah, pretty much. Maybe half a mile or 3/4 of a mile.
And you said,
Felt like a
sure,
mile.
yeah, put it wherever you want.
Like here, there was infinite green sites. You guys went out and picked out, I don't know, over 100 types of green sites,
Oh, yeah.
and then figured out which are the best ones and how
Is
they
that
fit
right?
together.
Yeah, there's green sites everywhere.
Yeah.
This is great for that.
The second hole wasn't even on the plan
It
when we
was a par
started.
3.
No way.
I didn't we start actually shaping it as a par 3. I think we actually began, and then at some point during the construction of it, we were like,
This would be way cooler.
the 16th hole this year.
Yeah, 16. You were in London when we
Yeah.
We thought, hey, this would be way cooler to be over here, and the 15th green should be there. And
So the original 16th never got built. And the 16th hole you play came out. I wasn't even here. I came in and I was like, oh, that looks super cool. We should do it.
Truly Hard Seltzer, ladies and gentlemen, is a clean, crisp, and refreshing hard seltzer with a hint of fruit. There's over 30 flavors, so there's something for everyone. I was drinking a blueberry acai earlier, and I have to say it was quite delicious, refreshing. It's like 90 degrees here. We're overlooking this the Columbia River, and it's just hot. And when you have something refreshing with a nice under 110 calories, which is great, trying to stay fit, 1 gram of sugar, and naturally gluten-free, you got yourself Truly Hard Seltzer. You can find Truly Hard Seltzer near you at trulyhardseltzer.com. They got the margarita. I was drinking a mango the other day. They just got a lot of good flavors, over 30 of them, and Truly's been the title sponsor of the Barstool Classic for 4 years straight. They're the reason that we're here at Gamble Sands. They're a huge part of the reason that thousands of golfers around the country have had such a great time at the Barstool Classic for 4 years straight. So a huge thanks to Truly Hard Seltzer. Again, is a clean, crisp, refreshing seltzer with a hint of fruit, over 30 flavors, all cans under 110 calories, 1 gram of sugar, naturally gluten-free. Find Truly Hard Seltzer near you at trulyhardseltzer.com. The second hole is one of my favorite holes I ever played.
It's a fun hole. Great view.
Oh,
How many different places can you hit it off that tee?
oh man.
I mean, strategically, tons. You could probably hit 5 different clubs off that tee.
Yeah.
And every one of them could be a scoring shot.
Yeah.
You know, I played with one of your team, Ryan, this morning.
Yeah.
And, you know, he would step up to the ball and he'd look at the GPS and he's like, oh, I'm 180 out. And he'd look at the pin. I was like, hole after hole. I'm like, dude, it's like 150. And I want you to aim 20 yards left or 20 yards right. And he's like, really? I said, just trust me.
I built the putt. I found us. We were then sneaking over trying to hear you say that, so that we we knew that kind of knowledge. Because again, that's just so.
I am still waiting on my $20.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. we gotta add them up a little bit. God, man, I don't like losing, but you're right. You're right. So new course plan timeline. We got a timeline on the new course.
yeah, the major goals are to get it going next spring, build out, and open sometime in 25. 25. Guarantee a date, but usually that's going to be mid to maybe late summer 25.
You guys kind of just let these guys, they take the wheel.
Oh yeah.
No, it's pretty collaborative.
Oh, very collaborative in that sense. You know, we know things that we have to deliver and
Yeah.
what they're going to deliver, but at the end of the day, their creativity and everything else, we let them do all that.
When we built the first course here, there was no general contractor. It was, you know, our team and the farms team, and we sort of put together our own sort of construction company and built the golf course. There was a lot of kumbaya.
Kumbaya. You just hire a lot of locals to help you out, basically.
No, we have guys that we know through our agricultural company that are very capable of doing a lot of stuff. So whether it be irrigation or, you know, dump trucks hauling gravel and all that other stuff. You
Pretty
know.
simple.
Yeah,
They
we
know
have
what they're doing.
a big leg up from other guys that are doing that in that sense.
And then this climate up here, this is mostly mid-spring to mid-fall type spot
For construction?
for playing golf.
Oh, yeah, golf is usually typically April till middle of October.
Okay.
Sometimes we shut it down a little early in October to take care of the golf course, and so have it come out of
Yeah,
winter
because
a
the
little
course
better.
probably doesn't get to breathe very often.
No.
People are just
man,
hammering away out there
That's
all
a
the
good
time.
thing. He always told me if you have those problems, those are good problems to have.
Yeah.
Quit whining about them.
Yeah,
And the part 3, which I haven't seen yet,
it's pretty wild.
it's crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's wild.
You told me you took all the good parts about a certain place you've seen and got rid of all the bad parts.
Well, I looked at a bunch of different par 3 courses because they're, you know, very popular.
Hot in the streets right now.
Yeah, and tried to figure out what makes them more fun and what makes them less fun. And the more fun seems to be when you can hit a shot over there and then watch the ball roll. Less fun is losing golf balls. That sucks.
You have a reasonable opportunity to make a 1 on every single one of those holes. I mean, you don't have to hit, you know, I got to throw a dart, right? I mean, you can choose your own way. Every single one of those holes. I mean, there's no sucker pins get trapped, you know, kind of stuff.
Force carries,
No.
you know. It's.
The third hole's great fun. You can't see the green. You barely see the top of the flag. You're throwing it uphill 50 feet into a giant bowl from 130 yards.
I think a lot of par 3 courses are a big course shrunk down. What we tried to think of was a putting course shrunk up.
Wow.
You'll see. It's like a giant putting course that you have to use, you know, irons and wedges on. It's more like a putting course.
Yeah.
Are you surprised at all at how kind of popular the par threes have become around the golf world? Really?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
And I think that they're highly specific to certain properties. They don't work everywhere. There's a lot of places, you know, it doesn't make sense. You know, I think when you've got destination golf with overnight accommodation, then it makes sense.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you're a private club somewhere or a destination that has no pressure on the golf course, you know, people are always going to probably prefer to play the golf course than play a short course.
Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah, because they've just been popping up all over the place from the, you know, Pebble, the Hay, they did it, and obviously the Cradle, and you got one here. It just seems like everybody's kind of doing it. They're hot in the streets.
You got a captured audience, and it's a great filler
Yeah.
for people that just don't want to go lay in their room or whatever. You know, you got an hour and a half.
Hit the
So
bar
some more
too
shots.
early.
Yeah.
And it's a hit and giggle. You're not carrying your whole bag, so you can, you know, you might have a small bag or you got a couple clubs with you. You can carry a drink. You know,
No scorecard, so no one cares.
like I said, last summer we played in flip-flops and board shorts. Half the guys I brought up here, you know, 15 guys, half of them don't even hardly play golf. We had a blast.
I can't wait to play.
And in that sense, it was a time filler. We needed something to do for a couple hours.
Boy, all the stuff that you did out on the main course, where you're hitting those backboards, we just took that and amped it as high as we could get it, like as wild as we could possibly get
This
it.
is where you were talking earlier, like if you want to get to 10, you got to go to 11 or 12. You
Yeah,
guys
it's
just
11
went to like
it's 11 or 12.
Just got to be able to mow it.
Explain the crater hole, would you?
There's a crater hole,
So
like an asteroid.
The number 3 was just talking about.
you'll play the first hole, right? And you play way downhill and you work through some pretty wild terrain. And the crater hole it was playing up to this kind of high spot. And literally, you know, we were talking about in the office, we were kind of joking about the whole template thing, right? Like, hey, let's make a template that doesn't exist. You might say punch bowl. This isn't a punch bowl because nothing around the green itself, right, is receiving. Literally went up on top of the hill, and one of the other guys that we were working with on site was like, I'm not sure quite. And I don't run equipment that great. I was just clearing brush.
Me neither.
And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go up to the crater and I'm going to make a crater. And I literally just went into the top of the hill with a dozer and I just dug a big hole.
It's a volcano. And the
And we
pin
built
is
a green
in the
inside of it.
Amazing. People just love it.
You'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's got to just be fun to do that.
Yeah. You couldn't do it on a
Right.
regular golf course. But you
There
can do it
there
on
are
a-
holes we built out there that I think are fun. Like if you were playing backyard golf like horse, right? There's enough space to play, but there's some of the holes, you know, the 9th hole is corkscrew. We were talking about, hey, you know, if we could get this to do, you know, similar to say 6 at Mammoth, right?
Yep.
I like cars. Corkscrew is a famous corner at Laguna Seca racetrack, or double corners. And the 9th green was like, we're going to call it corkscrew. And literally, we were watching videos of cars driving the corkscrew corner as we were shaping it. We were like, and they were rolling a basketball around it. And how do we get it to land
with
front
the
left and end up front right? I mean, and it's great fun. It's fun to build. It's fun to play.
Right. It's just fun.
Hit and giggle.
Fun's the whole purpose.
Great
of
to play
everything.
with 12 guys.
So we got the Open in St. Andrews coming up, a couple weeks. You're obviously a Scottish guy. And we're gonna hear a lot of when it comes to the hotel hole and hitting it over the sign and trying to hit the area. We're gonna hear a lot of the phrase, you know, you could never build that today, but it's great. You know, do you subscribe to that you can't build stuff today that
We built a hole in Seattle that was basically a takeoff of the road hole.
Yeah, are you trying to like bring that? Is that sort of when we're talking about amplifying it up? Are you trying to bring back
I
the
think
boldness
you can build
and the?
anything you want to build that's reasonably playable and not unsafe.
That's probably the key.
And when you hit it over the corner of the Old Course Hotel, I mean,
Over and out of bounds.
you're over out of bounds, over a sign,
That would be tough to do.
The average customer that probably plays there that's not the British Open, I don't know that they have to hit it that hard over that sign.
True.
It's the best players in the world. But, how much danger is there really that somebody would get injured by a golf ball who's not a golfer? Probably not. And I think that's where it really comes to. When we were talking earlier, it's like, this putting course, if you had a big event like your guys' event where you're basically going to have the run of the whole place, right? Mm-hmm. Could you put a mat or have turf there and do like 18-hole KP contest? You don't have to go putt or whatever. What are the chances that somebody'd skull a wedge into one of those rooms?
Extremely high.
So you can't do it, right?
Right.
But it sounds fun. And I think that's really where it's at. If it's reasonably playable and it can be safely done, you can build whatever you want. And we've got we did a renovation project in Seattle, Sandpoint Country Club, the 18th tee, to get some more length out of a 6,000-yard golf course. Mm-hmm. You've hit it right over the top of 17 green.
Okay.
The second tee shot at St. George's Hill in London does that. You're seeing it on all of these kind of resto mod, restoration that, some of the major championships have been moving to do that. And I think if you think about the sequence of play and how people move through the golf course and all that, you can do that. I mean, Shinnecock Hills, you hit it over a road like 3 times.
Yeah, right.
You have since it was built. You don't think anything of it.
Yeah, I like the the weirder somebody tells me a course is, or if somebody says it's just like a really weird course, I'm like, I gotta see that. I gotta check that out.
Me too. How weird could it be?
Right. Like, what's weird about it? I kind of like weird.
I played when I was a kid. I played one on the west coast of Scotland called Durnaverty.
Okay.
And all the greens are rectangles and squares. Every single one. I mean, the green itself still moves, but they're mowed as a rectangle or square. And I've always tried to do that here. I've suggested it to a few owners. No one's bitten.
I bet you've presented some bold shit to people.
Yeah, and maybe they were right, but I think that it probably works. At some point, I'm going to do it.
Sure.
You go, sure. Would you like an easier way to play golf? I bet that you would. We all would. Book your next tee time at one of thousands of courses available by downloading our brand new Barstool Golf Time app, now available in the App Store. Our rewards program is now available. You can book rounds and submit course reviews to build rewards and get exclusive Barstool merch discounts. I don't think people understand how good this is. We have our app. I use it all the time to book courses when I go check out new places. Going to play with my friends this weekend, a little Bear Creek action in the St. Louis area. Also going to play another spot in the St. Louis area, a little quarry course perhaps that we looked up on the Barstool Golf Time app. I use it in Arizona all the time. It's awesome. You got reviews. You want to see what your peers are saying about a course, about the staff, about the greens, the turf, the situation, how fast they are they punched, all that good stuff. You can leave reviews, and then by leaving those, you're helping other people. You're also gaining rewards, and you can use those rewards to get discounted merchandise in the Barstool store. So not using the Barstool Golf Time app is a crazy move. Book your next tee time with the Barstool Golf Time app, available right now in the App Store. I just think that it's golf should not be boring. It should be exciting, and a lot of that's going to come in what happens, right? I mean, with the shots and the match that people have, but with the architecture, you're kind of steering people around. So it's cool to hear from people who are the ones, actually designing it. Do you feel a lot of pressure when you get brought in to deliver or to create, because it's something that's gonna last, right? That's a long-lasting piece of property that you're shaping and creating.
I don't think so. No.
You just don't care. Yeah.
If you've answered the first question you asked, which was about how do you pick projects,
Mm-hmm.
if we're confident that we're a good fit and we're the right people for that project, then the pressure really doesn't exist. If you've taken on something that's not in your wheelhouse, that you shouldn't have, then maybe there's some pressure, right? But we know what our capabilities are. And sometimes it's fun. We take on things like the thing in LA at Rolling Hills where there's a hurdle. It's a little bit of a challenge, right? It's something different.
Right.
But never did we think we couldn't build something cool.
Yeah, I guess the only time I felt real pressure was the Castle course at St Andrews. 600 years of golf, home of golf. I'm a Scotsman. I felt that weight of history as we were doing that, and knowing that I probably couldn't succeed because building anything new was almost inevitably going to get rocks thrown at it because you're at the home of golf.
Right.
And so having to accept that, having to just understand that criticism is going to come and you're just going to have to live with it your whole entire life. And probably after you're dead, maybe then someone will give you a little credit, but it's not going to happen while you're alive.
What kind of advice did you get going into that project?
My dad gave me the best advice. He was a superintendent for 60 years, 50 years plus anyway. And he said, you realize you'll never please all of the people. And, the thing you have to live with is pleasing yourself. You have to be able to please yourself. And if you don't do that, and then you still don't please everyone, then you completely fail. So that really helped frame my mind. Like, okay, me and my team have to build something that we are proud of, we are committed to. We feel that it's the best we could have done. And then the criticism will come anyway. And, the Castle course is, half the people love it and half the people hate it. But guess what? Half they hate it, still paid to play it.
Facts. That's true.
And I think sometimes even if people hate it, if it's intriguing enough, they'll still come back because they're like, you know what? It got me last time, but there's just some ounce of attraction to it. Like maybe I can do better.
Totally.
I wonder how many people play the old course and hate it.
Yeah.
There's a fair number. They barely say it out loud. But
They're not allowed to, but
but they don't really love it.
trapdoor comes out and they disappear.
Yeah. The Arnie picks them off a sniper.
That's right. It's just
Yeah.
it's over. If someone, do you feel, we talk a lot about like I never want to listen to my own podcast. I hate the sound of like my own voice. And do you ever feel that way when
Today you do.
Today.
when you go play your own courses? Do you ever like not want to play them?
No.
Okay.
No.
No.
I think we have such a huge amount of fun building them that we know all these shots that we're trying to get you to discover and find, that when we play them, we already know where they're there. We know where all the tricks are.
It is interesting though.
Like
when
playing
you
a
hit
video
bad,
game where we know where all the trapdoors are.
Right.
You hit a shabby shot, or you hit a shot that you think is just right on the margin of being great, and you get the rub of the green in the wrong way. It's like, man, it's just kicking your own ass. Maybe.
What kind of asshole made it this way?
Right.
Yeah. That was a good shot. That should ended up good. How did I end up here? And you're the one that built it. It's got to be tough. Look, I'm a huge fan of this place. This has been on my list for several years to get up here, and boy, I couldn't recommend it, more high to people. You guys are pretty full, right? Right now, you guys are pretty jam packed when it comes to bookings and business up here.
Always room for another.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Things are good here, I feel like.
Yeah, it's moving along very well. We're happy with it, and that's why we're gonna just create more of it and keep the same vibe.
Is there room for more than one more golf course?
Yeah, with a few creative.
You have to get real creative.
Things. Yeah,
Might know a couple guys.
maybe.
That could get real creative. Have you done 2 courses on one site before?
Never.
First time.
First time.
You got like renderings? Can we look at them off camera?
Yeah.
Pictures.
Yeah.
Teasing people a little bit.
One cool story about this place is, David getting the job was his dad coming out on a walkthrough that we did, and Cass, who you met earlier up at the restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
David's dad was walking around with a little 35 millimeter camera that you like clicked in between. You rolled it up.
Mm-hmm.
And we got done, and Cass asked him, he says, man, I noticed you took a lot of pictures. And, because honestly, we didn't know what we had here. We were just guys that thought we needed something about a little bit about golf, and got the right guys. Gave Orrin Vincent. We should probably mention here. He passed away last year, and he was the guy that was a very influential person in getting us hooked up and getting this whole place rolling. But David's dad told Cass that, this is one of the best sites I've ever walked with David. Wow. And I sure hope he gets the opportunity to do it. And Cass,
Good old dad.
Yeah. Whether he was full of crap, I don't know. But
He's just coming in to seal the deal. Yeah, get it done.
But no, that was one of the big reasons, because we looked at him and he was really pumped about the project. And
I mean, this place is breathtaking. I think we're probably not doing it justice enough. I mean, sure, people on YouTube that are watching this are like, yeah, I can see it. It's breathtaking. But anyone that's just listening, I mean, it is, when you get here, we have our Barstool Classic crew that we have a group text, and the first person that arrived yesterday just said, this place, holy fuck. That was just their text. And we don't send that anywhere. Like, we go to 25 stops around the country. Have never seen somebody send that kind of text. I'm posting pictures, of people's reaction are just like, what, are you on Mars? Like, where are you? Like, what is that? So I want to make sure for everybody just listening purely that they can understand how breathtaking this place is. And Tori, you're used to it because, you've been around here for much of your entire life. But man, this place, outside of the architecture and how good these guys are at their jobs and the sand base and how fun the ball reacts, and we've talked about all the great benefits of that. But just if there wasn't even a golf course here, just standing right here, this place is spectacular.
Yeah, it's a great place to.
It sure is.
Great place to be.
Wow, we're very lucky. Well, I appreciate it. 2025, the new course is the plan.
Yep.
For the new course to open up. You guys got some work to do. You got other projects going on too, right?
Yeah, we do, but this will be a big focus.
I mean, as it should be. I'm excited to see it. I want to get some renderings off camera. I want to get perks that other people can't get. What do you guys, software? You got all kinds of software you use? Are you guys more feel guys?
Yeah, we do.
We do it all.
A little bit of both?
Yeah. Well, we have projects right, across the portfolio where the plan is little more than a routing plan to drawn full scale, engineered earthworks plans. And, all the software that, we use, I mean, we've got the capability to do all of that.
Just almost got hit by a fly. Awesome. Well, I appreciate it. I know this was a long chat, but it's worth it. I think that, a lot of people listen to our show and listen to what we do. They work hard, they save up, they jump on their email chain or their group text with their pals, trying to pick, what it is that they build up towards. And that is a golf trip every year, a couple trips a year, every 2 years, every 5 years, whatever it is. And they're trying to figure out where to go. And there's a lot of different options that they look at. So giving them all the information and, allowing them to understand that there's something like this that's out there, I think is really helpful to people. And I think a lot of people are going to come here, and I mean, they already are. But hopefully a lot of people come here and check it out, because like I said, if it weren't for the golf and what you guys have done, people would just never see this part of the country, or at least a lot less of them would. So you guys have done a good job here. It's really awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for joining. I appreciate it.
Thanks.